hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 4 new DIYs for you. My theme today was Falloween because I wanted to do like some Halloween decorations, but pretty ones that you can leave up during the fall. It's going to kind of serve 2 purposes. They're going to be fall decorations and they're also going to be Halloween decorations. So I can't wait to show you how I put all of these together. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to use is one of these little jack-o'-lantern candy buckets and some of this burlap from the Dollar Tree. Now I did have to go to Walmart to get a candy bucket because they don't have this shape at the Dollar Tree, and actually I had a hard time finding the shape at all. But Walmart does have them. They're less than $2 and they have them in different colors. I chose blue because I have blue everything in my house, so I don't care if that shows through the burlap a little bit. But you can use any color you want, or you could even paint it. Now the first step is I'm going to use a razor blade and cut a little hole in the bottom of our candy bucket about the size of one of those little candles, the little battery operated tea light candles from the Dollar Tree. And that way I can turn it on and off and I can change out candles. So this is what I started with. This works, but I did end up changing it to a brighter light that I had from another project today, so you'll see that too. But this totally works. You can put that in the bottom. The brighter, the better probably, because we're going to be shining through different things. Now that hole in the bottom was kind of like hard to cut because it was really thick there, but I'm also going to cut out all the eyes, the nose, the mouth of the little jack-o'-lantern as well. And this was really easy to cut out. Like the plastic on the sides was really thin. So just make sure not to cut yourself. And this was almost so easy to cut, you had to be careful that you didn't like cut too much. But what I want to do is cover this whole jack-o'-lantern with burlap. So during the day, it's going to be a beautiful burlap pumpkin for fall. But at night, you can turn on the candle inside and have a little jack-o'-lantern. Light up jack-o'-lantern. So that is the plan. We got the face all cut out, and now we just need to cover it in burlap. I was really excited to find this burlap at the Dollar Tree. Oh, I've been waiting for them to get something like this in. But if you can't find it, you can always find rolls like this at Walmart or other craft stores. Or you know what? You could use the burlap ribbon they have. It's not that much thinner, but it's not exactly like the burlap with the finished edges like this. So what I'm going to do is cut off a piece that's long enough to go all the way around my pumpkin, but leaving an opening at the bottom for my candle. And I kind of just picked an area there, and we're going to crisscross. So we're going to glue on the bottom again, cut off another piece the same length after gluing that on, and then I'm just going to keep working until doing the same exact thing until I get all of the blue covered up. It took, I'm trying to think, 6 pieces, I think. Maybe it took more. Let me see here. Oh, I think it took 8 pieces to cover it up. It's not real wide burlap, but just keep working, overlapping a little bit at a time until you get all of it covered up. And again, I glue it, cut it, and I still have that little opening for my candle there at the bottom. So this is what it looks like at this point. It's pretty good. It could be a little bit tighter, so I do go through with hot glue and kind of glue some of my seams down just to make myself feel better, to try to make it look a little bit better during the daytime. I really don't mind the blue shining through the burlap. If you did, you could always paint it white underneath or tan. But I'm just trying to clean it up and make it just a little bit tighter against the pumpkin to make it look not quite so sloppy. And what I want to do now, I want to make a pumpkin stem for it. And I'm going to use, I wanted to use like a driftwood, but I didn't really have anything the right size. And so I do use some of those little wood stems from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm doing now is just trying that candle on. I'm going to turn off all my lights in my craft station to see if it works. And look at that. It's like a little surprise underneath a beautiful burlap pumpkin. I love this idea. I think this is so much fun. My husband's like, you did not come up with that. And I'm like, well, I think I did. Somebody else has probably already done it before, though. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 of these little wood stems because I want a fairly big stem for our pumpkin. And I'm just going to glue them together. Now, I do like the fact that they're wood, and I probably would leave it like that, but it's kind of obviously 2 stems kind of stuck together. And I do it kind of so it bends off to the side, kind of like a pumpkin stem. But I wasn't super happy with the fact that it was 2 pieces. So to kind of disguise that, I'm just going to wrap it with some Dollar Tree rope. I have a spare piece sitting around. And I'm going to kind of leave a little tail on it before I start it. That way I can also use that rope for like little pumpkin tendrils. And then just a little bit of hot glue to get it started. And I'm just going to simply wrap the little wood stems with this rope. And when I get to the end, I just kind of glue it to itself so that it covers all of the wood. So I'm going to glue that on to the top of the burlap and then finish off the top of the stem. Just kind of going around and around until you can't see the little wood part anymore. And then I'll glue down the little piece that's left. Now I left that piece for the tendrils there, and it's like 3 pieces all braided together. So I'm going to kind of unwind those, and they naturally kind of have that curly tendril appearance. I really only wanted 2 though, so I'm going to cut 1 off and just kind of glue that back down under there. Now for a pumpkin leaf, I like coastal. If you don't want to do coastal, you can do whatever kind of leaves you want. But I just want to kind of decorate this. I'm going to use some of this tropical foliage from the Dollar Tree for my pumpkin leaves. I thought that would be nice and fun. And so I'm just going to kind of do 1 in the front and 1 in the back. And kind of decorate this a little bit with a tropical or coastal touch. And I really want to decorate it to make it look pretty, so it looks really cool during the day as well. It definitely looks really cool at night, all lit up for sure. So I'm just kind of arranging those and hot gluing those on. I don't really have much room for the stem there because of the stem of the pumpkin. Now to decorate it further, I'm going to bring out my shell stash. Pick out a few seashells to decorate the top of this. And again, if you don't want to do coastal fall, you can decorate this however you would a traditional pumpkin. So maybe one of these little seashells over on this side. And this turned out really cute. I was really pleased with this project. And just kind of mixing and matching. Some of those are going to be the Dollar Tree seashells, and some of them are going to be the little mini seashells. Just until I kind of get it decorated. I want it to kind of be pretty in all directions. That way I can turn it around and just have a traditional fall pumpkin after Halloween. And you won't be able to see the face through it all. And I'm going to finish it up with a little tiny starfish. I get these on Amazon. I'll try to remember to post a link below for that. But I love them, and sometimes you can get some bigger ones in the pack, and I'm going to use one of the bigger ones that came with it. And that looks super cute. It's all decorated. And this is how it turned out. So you can see like the face through there slightly during the day, but it's not real obvious. I'm wondering if you painted it, if it would be any different, but mine was that bright blue color, so you can kind of see the little cutouts there, but if you turn it around the other way, backwards, you can't see it at all. Super duper cute. And the stem is just about the right size. So let me show you how this turned out. This is how I have it turned like backwards, so you can't see the face at all. It just looks like a burlap wrapped pumpkin. This is under some low light conditions where it's lit up super cute, and this is it like complete darkness. What a fun idea for a DIY. Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these little pencil cups from the Dollar Tree. If you can't find this one, the little wood boxes that have the drawers are almost the same size and would totally work for this project. What I want to do is do some stacked pumpkins. And I want them to be really cute and burlappy and stuff like that. But I also wanted to have a touch of Halloween. So I'm going to use one of these little wood jack-o'-lantern stickers from the Dollar Tree. I chose the one that is just the wood color. It's not painted. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. That way it's still stuck to that background and I can paint it whatever color I want. I'm going to do light blue. I got this new color at Walmart. I think it's called Cloudless. I'll make sure. And it's the perfect color of a light blue, but you can kind of mix whatever color you want. And I'm just using a little makeup sponge to very simply and neatly paint that. And I'm just going to leave the little pencil cup like the natural color. That's going to be my tiny planter box for these stacked pumpkins. And then I'm just going to wipe off the excess paint with a baby wipe, kind of staining that wood a little bit, giving a nice coastal touch, which I always appreciate for my DIYs. Now I'm going to fill the little box with some floral foam from the Dollar Tree, just cutting a little piece I had down to size. And it's okay that it doesn't fill up the whole box because I kind of going to want to weigh that down anyway. So I go ahead and take my little jack-o'-lantern. It does have a little sticker on the back. I want this to be really attached though. So I peel that little double stick tape off the back and I'm just going to glue this down to the planter box with just some hot glue. And we have the front of our little planter box complete. Now, I don't want this to fall over. I want it to be stronger at the bottom. So I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree like white pebbles and fill in the remaining space in our planter box just to give some weight to this to make it not so wobbly. And you won't be able to see any of that, so I don't really need to cover that up because the biggest pumpkin that's going to be on the bottom is totally going to cover that. Now I found this cute little blue fabric pumpkin at the Dollar Tree and it's already on a stick. So I thought this would be perfect for the top of my pumpkin stack. And the color is perfect too. I love that beautiful light blue fabric that it's made out of. I also found this little orange burlap pumpkin at the Dollar Tree. Also perfect. It's a perfect color. It's a perfect material for this project and it's the right size to stack. Now for the third pumpkin, I'm going to use just a plain white foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. If you're not lucky enough to find the white, you can also use another color. You might need to paint it first though, because you might be able to see it through the burlap that we're going to use to cover this. I'm just going to pull out the stem. It just has a little pick on it. We're not going to need that. And we're going to cover it. I'm going to cover it with some of this Dollar Tree burlap. This is the ribbon that they get in for fall in the color brown. And it's actually like a real unfinished burlap. But you could also use like the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree as well, but it's not going to be quite as unfinished as this one. So like we did before, we're going to wrap this in burlap. I cut off a piece that's going to go all the way around. The reason that I cut the piece and I don't keep wrapping is because I want this to be as tight as possible against the pumpkin. So again, I'm just going to glue down and cut off another piece and kind of crisscross. This is a much smaller pumpkin, so it's easier to cover with the burlap. I did find the styrofoam was kind of hard to hot glue to. You could always put down some masking tape first, and that might make it easier to glue your burlap to. So I did kind of a cross pattern, and now I'm doing an alternate cross pattern, and that's going to be enough burlap to kind of cover all of it. I don't really care too much if you can see some of the white through. I want this one to kind of look kind of sloppy, burlap wrapped. Now, to do like the different sections of the pumpkin, I'm going to use some of this twine from Walmart. It's a little thicker than the twine that you get at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to tie off my first piece to get it started. And then I'm going to start wrapping in the like natural indentations and then pulling the twine through to kind of connect it to the rest of the twine, and then going a different direction until I have all the little sections of the pumpkin with rope pulled between them like that. And I think that looks kind of cool. It kind of goes with the burlap as well. So I'm just going to tie off that last piece. And I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit if I can. Any areas where it's gaping wide open, I do try to put a little bit of hot glue. But again, the white under there is not real bad, so I don't really care if it's not complete coverage. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use the existing stem on this to make the actual structure of the stacked pumpkin. The little stick on there is long enough to go through all three. So I'm going to pull the stem off the orange pumpkin, and then I'm going to stab down through it. It's a foam pumpkin inside, so this was pretty easy to stab all the way through it. And with a little pressure, look at that, all the way through it, and we have our first stacked pumpkin for this DIY. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the larger foam pumpkin. Wasn't quite as easy. That burlap ribbon was a little thicker than what they had used on that orange pumpkin, but I did get it to go through there. And then I want to stab it all the way through the pumpkin and come out the other side. I do have to kind of cut a hole in the burlap to get it to come through, but with a little bit of work, we got it to work. Now that stem is actually long enough to go through it all the way, and there's enough left over to go in the foam that we put in our little planter box. So look at that, isn't that cute? I think the scale of them are pretty good. The larger one on the bottom, the medium size, and the smallest one on top. And I'm just going to make sure that that fits. The box is a little small for a planter box, but I think it's going to work. Now, I decided I wanted some fall leaves to go between at least one of the pumpkin stacks. So I'm going to use these. These are like the white and tan ones mixed together. And I think I'll use both colors. They both look really fall. I just found these at the Dollar Tree. They're different than the ones that I have been using previously color-wise, but I think they're really pretty. So I'm just going to kind of wedge those in between the bottom two pumpkins, attaching them with a little bit of hot glue so they don't fall out. Just kind of alternating the colors. I end up using a total of 4 leaves. Kind of one sticking out in each direction. And then I can stack the pumpkins back on top of them, and they're kind of like peeking out. I chose to only do 1 layer. I didn't want it to be too busy, but I thought that added another fun little fall touch to this stacked pumpkin DIY. Now we can go ahead and attach it. I'm going to use hot glue and foam to make sure that it sticks in here. And I'm going to stab that stick down into the floral foam. Now, if you're not lucky enough to find one of these little pumpkins on a stick, you can always recreate that with a wood dowel. I thought about painting the little stem on the top pumpkin. It was kind of on there. It didn't want to pop off, so I decided to leave it just brown. It's fine. Now, I thought that the little planter box on the bottom looked a little unfinished and a little small, so I thought we could dress it up a little bit and give it a few more decorative touches. So I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree brown rope. This is kind of a thinner piece. It's just a scrap piece I had laying around. And I'm going to glue a rope border on the top and the bottom of the box. It's just going to give it another little rustic touch. And I love usually, you do a blue, orange, white pumpkin stack, but I like the blue, orange burlap. I think that looks really cool. So I'm just going to glue that all along the top. Just kind of framing that out. Now, this top piece of rope actually serves another purpose as well, because I can then glue that to the pumpkin stack and further secure that so it does not fall apart. Now that looks pretty good, but I thought it looked a little uneven still, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on the bottom part of the planter. And just do rope starting in the back, and I'm just going to go all the way around like I did before. Just attaching with hot glue. And this looks very fall. If you wanted to do straight fall on this, you totally could. I like the addition of the little jack-o'-lantern on the front. I think that's really cute. And actually, just like the first project, if you turn this around, it's a two-sided project and it's going to be straight fall. And if you turn it this way, it's also Halloween. So another Falloween decoration is complete. I think it turned out so cute. I've never done a stacked pumpkin before, and I just love it. I think it's so cute. And I will show you how this looks in my house, the completed project, here in just a second, I think. There we go. This is our little stacked pumpkins. All fabrics and burlaps with some leaves and a cute little jack-o'-lantern surprise here at the bottom. Oh guys, we're halfway through. I wanted to take a moment to tell you about our private Facebook group. I'll post a link below. You'll love seeing how creative all the Crafty Beach Bums are. And I am also on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Crafty Beach on YouTube, and I would love to see you over there. Okay, our next DIY, I wanted to make a jack-o'-lantern sign, but I also wanted it to be beautiful for fall. So I'm going to use 2 of these Dollar Tree hanging shelves. They're just about the right size to make a sign to do a jack-o'-lantern on. So I also have a wood jack-o'-lantern there from Dollar Tree as well. I like piecing together these signs. You can kind of get a perfect size sign for what you're wanting to work with by piecing them together. It's also made out of great wood, so you can paint it or stain it however you want. But if you just want to use like a Dollar Tree sign that you have, or you can find that's like a square or a rectangle, that's probably going to work as well. So I have 2 pieces, and I'm going to use that same beautiful blue color that we used before to paint these. And this is going to be the background for our little jack-o'-lantern sign. My vision was I wanted to cover a jack-o'-lantern with burlap and do like a burlap jack-o'-lantern. So I thought blue would look great on the back. But you can do whatever color you want to match your style. Once I get it painted, I go over that with a baby white to kind of wipe off the excess, just to let some of that beautiful wood grain come through on the final product. Now I'm going to attach the 2 sides together with some hot glue. I use the Gorilla Glue hot glue from Walmart. It works great for wood. And normally this works really well for me. I've done this a lot to make signs. But for some reason, I think one of these signs was a little bit bowed, or one of these shelves was a little bit bowed, which they're normally not. So this wasn't super strong once I put the 2 of them together. So I do have to brace this further on the back to make sure that this stays together. Little wobbly. So to do that, you could use like popsicle sticks. I'm going to use like a Dollar Tree ruler just because I had one right here available. And it's just one of the wood rulers from the Dollar Tree. They come in one of the little 2-packs, and I can just glue that to the back. So I'm just going to open that package, peel the stickers off, and it's going to give me a perfect little brace here for the back. They do kind of have a little ledge on them from where the stickers are. So I'm just going to do the flat side against my 2 signs. And that's going to give me a nice strong support there for that seam. And hopefully straighten out the bow of one of the signs a little bit. Now we have that sign complete. It has like all of the holes in it for the hanging shelf. Sometimes I leave those. I think those look cool. Sometimes I cover them up. Today I do cover them up. And I'm just using that string that came with the hanging shelves and a little bit of hot glue on the end to make it easier to thread through the holes that are on there. I also like to use the little Dollar Tree Cricut weeder to help push that through, kind of like a needle. And I'm just going to tie that off on the front, and we're going to make a little hanger out of that little string that was used for the holder. Putting hot glue on the tips of it is definitely crucial to get it to go through there. Otherwise, it's going to fray and be a mess. I'm just going to tie that off. I like to do the knots on the front. I think it hangs flatter against the wall when you do it that way. And I think it looks cool too. Now here is our little jack-o'-lantern that I want to cover in burlap. Now I thought I could pop off the face of that, but it was actually way more difficult than I thought. So I'm actually going to cover the back of it with the burlap. So I'm just using some burlap that I got at Walmart. This is like maybe 2-foot roll. But you can use whatever you've got. Burlap at Walmart is, you can get it in bulk, like by the roll, like less than like $2 a yard. It's like really inexpensive. And I'm just going to use a Sharpie to kind of draw the shape of the pumpkin on here. And then I'm going to cut it inside that color so you won't be able to see that. But I needed something that I was going to be able to see to cut. And I'm just using my fabric scissors to cut out that pumpkin shape out of our burlap. And I want to cut it out first before I attach it to the pumpkin because I want to paint a little jack-o'-lantern face on here. Since I wasn't able to pop the face off, my original plan was to pop the face off of that and to paint those pieces and put them on the front. But since I couldn't do that, I just paint on the actual burlap, like a black triangles for the eyes, nose, and mouth. Now, I want it to kind of pop the burlap against the pumpkin. So I do a couple coats of just ivory paint to brighten up the background piece, which is going to be the back of this little jack-o'-lantern. Now, if you couldn't find the jack-o'-lantern, you could still do the same thing. Since we're not using the face on there, you can use any of the wood pumpkins. The plain wood pumpkin from the Dollar Tree is shaped a little bit different, I think. I also decided to fill in the little hanging holes with a little bit of spackle, just in case I didn't want you to be able to see that through the burlap when we cover it with our burlap jack-o'-lantern. I probably should have done this step before I painted, but better late than never. Now, I used the picture or the actual wood jack-o'-lantern as a template, and I tried to recreate what they had on there by just drawing triangles and using a black paint pen and painting that on. I'm painting it now before I attach it to the pumpkin because I don't want any of that black paint to bleed through for the background. I want the burlap to look painted, but not the sign, if you know what I mean. Now, the triangles were really easy. The mouth a little bit more difficult. I'm just trying to give a couple teeth like they had before. And then like one tooth here on the bottom. And try to make it look as symmetrical as I can. And just using my paint pen to paint that burlap. It was actually easier than I thought it would be to do this step. And I'm just going to leave it like that. I think that looks kind of cool. Kind of a light paint job against the burlap to make the burlap look slightly black. And you can see how I tried to recreate that face. And now we can attach it to our little wood pumpkin back. So to do that, I'm going to use a Mod Podge. I'm going to do a fairly thick layer of Mod Podge. That's the matte Mod Podge. I get that from the Dollar Tree as well. I love those little bottles because you don't have to worry about them drying out or not getting the lid on there very good and having a mess. And they're just quick and easy and only $1.25. So I'm just going to lay my little burlap pumpkin on there, trying to get it as close to the edges as I can, but it's kind of a rustic thing. It doesn't have to look perfect. And just kind of pressing down with a paper towel to make sure that it is good and stuck everywhere and that there's no like excess glue coming out anywhere. I also use my scissors to just kind of trim up any of the craziness that's kind of sticking out the edges from the loose burlap. I did a pretty good job of cutting any color off the edges as well from that Sharpie. So here's our little blue sign, and my plan is to attach the little burlap jack-o'-lantern to the front, kind of like that. Now I was trying to decide what I was going to do with those holes on the side. I wasn't a big fan of them, and so I decided to use more of that string that came with the hangers and kind of knotting it in the front like I did with the hanging sign and kind of pulling it through and tying it to the next piece. I've done this before with like the twine from the Dollar Tree, like the tan twine, and I liked how it looked. Now this one, it does look kind of cool and it does kind of look, you know, beachy or coastal. You can skip this step though if you're gonna do the final decorating of this, because I do end up covering this up with something else because I didn't really like how it looked in the final product. I thought it looked kind of weird. So I'm just filling in all my holes like that. And you know, you could always use spackle as well. Now I'm going to use hot glue on the mouth, the nose, and the eyes of our little jack-o'-lantern to glue that down. It's going to give a slight 3D feel to our little jack-o'-lantern, making it a little bit higher than the sign, which was great since, again, I had one sign or one shelf that was slightly bowed. Now, I wanted to make a little, like, raffia bow for the top of our jack-o'-lantern. I thought that would look cute for fall. I don't like working with this stuff very well. This is the kind from Dollar Tree. I actually got it at the thrift store, but I don't know. I find raffia really hard to deal with. So I'm trying to get some strands of that so we can tie a simple little bow, maybe for the side of the jack-o'-lantern. So I just do several pieces, nothing too big here. And I'm just going to tie a very simple bow for another little fall touch to this. Most of this is going to be very fall. The only thing that's going to be screaming Halloween is that cute little jack-o'-lantern face that we painted on there. And so I'm just going to kind of attach that up here on the side with a little bit of hot glue. And I thought we could also do a fall leaf, the little brown and ivory ones from before, for a little pumpkin leaf for our jack-o'-lantern as well. I thought it looked better, the bow kind of glued over to the side than actually on the stem. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, I was trying to decide how to decorate the top of it because I think it does need decorations for sure. So again, I wanted to use one of those fall leaves. These are kind of cool that they're two-tone like that. I'm kind of picking out what color and a nice flat one. And I think I'm going to use like this ivory color for the top one. Just trying to find the perfect one. And I'm just going to pull that off. And, you know, I had a little bit of room behind the pumpkin since we glued it up with the face that I can kind of have room to put like the little leaf stem down underneath of it. Just trying to figure out exactly where I want it. Put a little bit of hot glue on that stem and kind of wedge it down there underneath my little jack-o'-lantern. Gluing that down a little bit too so it stays flat against my sign. Now these leaves also have these little berries that are kind of like nice fall colors, and I thought that might be a fun decoration for the top of our jack-o'-lantern as well. So I just pulled off a piece and cut that down, and I'm going to kind of hot glue that in the little gap there between the fall leaf and the little pumpkin stem. And the colors on that are like white, tan, and green, which looks fine. Then for the stem, I thought I would use a little bit of rope. This is just a scrap piece of Dollar Tree brown rope that I have. And I just kind of unwinded the 3 pieces, cut it out. And it kind of gives you the appearance of like a real pumpkin stem. Kind of brown, kind of wiry looking. And I'm just going to glue those fibers down on top of the burlap, just to kind of distinguish the stem a little bit, make it look a little bit different than the rest of the burlap pumpkin. And I'm just making sure that all the pieces are glued down and kind of spread out as well. Now, this is when I decided that I didn't really like the little string knots on the side, and I thought it would be cute if I used these little fall leaves and kind of had them like cascading or falling down the sides of our sign. Another little fall touch and just another little decor piece for this, and I think this really finished off the sign. So I'm going to use a total of 6 of this lighter color of ivory leaf, and they do have like another kind of ivory and tan leaf. You could use those from the Dollar Tree as well if you can't find this exact one. So kind of like that, kind of like they're falling from the sky. And you know, the blue sign kind of looks like the sky too, so that kind of looks cute. And I'm just going to attach this with hot glue and cover up all of those little rope pieces that were kind of bothering me that I used to fill the holes. And I kind of alternate them. I have one going one way, the next one going the other way, kind of alternating back and forth, kind of like they're falling through the air. And then I'm going to do the same thing over on the left side, kind of repeating that pattern, but alternate. One going to the right, one going to the left, one going to the right, all the way down. And I thought this was the perfect touch to our little burlap jack-o'-lantern. I think this turned out so cute and such a fun, pretty Halloween decoration for fall. So another Falloween DIY is complete. I think it's so cute. I really like the idea of the burlap jack-o'-lantern instead of the bright orange. So let me show you how this looks hanging. In my house, we have our little burlap jack-o'-lantern surrounded by falling fall leaves. Okay, it's time for our last fall DIY. I found this little pumpkin, light up pumpkin at the Dollar Tree. It's covered in like this bright purple mesh, but you can kind of see inside that it's got a really cool shape. It's got a very strong wire form underneath there. And so I'm going to kind of cut along the middle to start removing that purple mesh. They also have these, I think, in black as well. And using some hot glue to pull out the bottom, which does have a little bright LED light here that goes in the bottom of that. And the top part was the hardest part to take apart on this. It's like really shoved in there. I'm just reattaching that light there at the bottom. And I am starting to trim and cut the black fabric from the stem, which was really kind of on there. And then all that purple fabric was shoved through the top hole, and there was a lot of it, so it was kind of difficult. I just kind of trimmed it as close as I can, trying to pull and push, but actually heat from my heat gun was the key to getting that out, kind of melting any glue, kind of maybe the fabric as well. And I'm just left with that beautiful wire structure. So like you can see that some of the wires go out a little bit and some of the wires go out a lot. So I thought it would be fun to use a couple different kinds of Dollar Tree rope. I'm going to use the brown thinner rope for the inside pieces, and then like the white thin rope from the Dollar Tree for the outside pieces. So I just measured a piece that was about the right length to cover that. And then I just used that as a template, and I cut out, I think it's 6 pieces to cover all of those inside pieces. And we're just going to start gluing those on. The first one I kind of put glue on the wire, but that kind of dripped everywhere and kind of made a mess. So I kind of learned my lesson on that piece, and I started just attaching the hot glue to the rope itself. And this is going to give us a cute little DIY. It's going to look so much better than that purple mesh did on there for sure. And I'm not really going to have a jack-o'-lantern on this one, but this is definitely going to be a pretty fall decoration that lights up, so you could also use it for Halloween. So I'm just going to start gluing those all around on those inside pieces. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with that white rope. I chose the thinner white rope because it's almost the same diameter of rope as the brown rope. Now, that light that's inside is like an LED light. It's really bright. And before it had fabric covering the whole thing, and now we're going to have all these openings. So I did find it was a little brighter than I would like. So I do replace that with a Dollar Tree LED tea light because it's visible too. I think that looks a little bit prettier than that light. And I ended up using that LED light in that first jack-o'-lantern we made because it was a little bit brighter. So I just cleaned up any of the fuzzies on our brown rope with a lighter, and we can get started on the white nautical rope. So I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did on the brown rope. I'm just going to cut the tape off the end, and then we can measure our first piece and use that as a template to cover the rest. Now you could do this all in brown rope or all in white rope if that's all you have. I think it would still be really cute. If you wanted to do like a wood bead pumpkin, you could do that as well. But this was a pretty strong wire structure. Not sure how hard that wire would be to cut along the top or the bottom to be able to put your beads on there, but that would be another idea. I've done that before, making a wood bead pumpkin with just wire itself. This is just a really great size, and I was really happy to find this. Now, gluing the rope to it was way easier, I think, than trying to get all that purple fabric off. It was definitely on there. So we have 6 pieces of the white nautical rope, and just gluing that on with the hot glue as well. Trying to do it as neatly as I can because, again, you can see in there, so I don't want it to look sloppy at all with like hot glue going everywhere. And here's our last piece of rope. Now, the stem of it is like wire, and so we'll cover that up as well. I found it to be a little like wobbly at this point, so I cut out another piece of rope, just the brown rope, and I'm going to glue that along the bottom, just in a circle, around the candle, so I can still, pull that out if I need to, or access the switch. But again, I do end up switching that out to a different one. And this made a base for the bottom of it, and it made it way more sturdy and way less wobbly. It was kind of wobbly before as well, just the structure of it itself. And that looks pretty cool. So now we just have to worry about decorating the stem. I'm going to clean up any hot glue I have with my heat gun. Just trying to make it look a little bit nicer. Get any of those annoying little hot glue strings off of there. I would like to thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like this video. Leave a comment below for your favorite DIY today, or just say hello. I love to read all your comments, and it definitely helps the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We are almost to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm planning another big giveaway for our channel to celebrate. So I'm just using that white thin rope and simply gluing that around the stem. It's kind of a flat stem until you can't see any more of the wire. And I cut off a piece here at the end, and I'm just going to keep kind of gluing it to itself until I kind of make a little tip to the end of our little pumpkin stem. Easy peasy. So this is how it looks, and this is how it looks lit up, and this is how you can see that little LED light in there. It's probably fine if you want to leave it like that, but I didn't really like the appearance of it because it doesn't really look like a candle very much, and it was very bright. So again, I do end up popping that part out and switching it out, but I think it's so cute. And you can use it without the candle at all. It would be still really pretty. Now to decorate it, I wanted to do some flowers. So I have some of this white vase filler from Target, and I'm going to glue one of them on there. I think they're so pretty. They're like a paper flower. And then I thought like maybe some wood flowers would be really pretty on there too. Just working with the ivories and the brown colors. And I got some of these little solar roses at the Dollar Tree. They call them wood curl roses. And I thought some of those would look really pretty with that white flower from the Dollar Tree. And you can use whatever you want to decorate this. If you wanted to do coastal, you could do seashells as well. Or if you wanted to do floral, you could do floral like in some fall colors or whatever color you want for your decor. Or it's actually really pretty just by itself with just the rope as well. I chose to do 2 of the little wood curls from the Dollar Tree. Just kind of gluing those on. Kind of decorating just half of the top of the pumpkin. And I think that is the perfect final touch to this DIY. It's pumpkin for fall or Halloween that lights up, but it's also really beautiful. Now, I did decide I wanted to add a pumpkin curl, so I'm going to use some of this jute-covered wire from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to wrap a piece around a pen. I have like a little pencil shape, like that, and just cut off that piece. I kind of did that off camera accidentally, and we can kind of shove that down in there. And kind of have it kind of go off to the side, kind of like that. You have to be really careful not to work with that too much because sometimes that jute likes to come off the wire. And a fun little pumpkin tendril to finish it off. And here I am. I used to use a little bit of heat because I'm popping that light out because I decided I wanted to replace it with a candle. And you can get inside of there since it's all open on the side. So I'm just going to put one of those little battery-operated tea light candles in there instead. Do a quick little switcheroo. But I don't want to break it because I wanted to reuse that one. So I did use a little hot glue or heat gun because I used hot glue before to glue that in. Now, there's not quite enough room on there on the bottom to put this in from the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of sit it in there. And I'm not going to glue it down or anything. That way I can turn it on and off, and I can switch it out when the battery dies in that little candle. But that is the final product. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I appreciate you all so much. And we are ready for the final reveal. And then a special thank you to all of my financial supporters here on my channel with super thanks and for buying me a coffee. Happy Falloween!
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are since I was a little child. Every year for as long